two massive armies stand deadlocked on the plains of Kurukshetra. Thousands of elite warriors are locked in formation, awaiting the order to strike. After years of failed diplomacy, war has become the only remaining language. Shattering the silence, the sharp, piercing blast of war conscience echoes across the valley. It is a wall of sound designed to flood the human nervous system with adrenaline, signaling that the time for words has ended. But as the first arrows are notched, the most feared warrior on the field halts the momentum. Arjuna commands his charioteer to drive directly into the no-man's land between the two armies, stopping dead center between the opposing ranks. Standing in that silence, Arjuna looks across the line and sees the faces of his own world. Front and center are his childhood teachers, his grandfathers, and his cousins, men he has loved and respected his entire life. The physical toll is immediate. His skin feels as if it is burning. His mouth goes dry, and his limbs begin to tremble. The Gandiva, his legendary, unliftable bow, slips from his grip and clatters to the floor of the chariot. The text provides a detailed map of a total physiological collapse. It describes a battle-hardened hero losing control of his motor functions, overwhelmed by an internal terror that mirrors the most severe modern accounts of acute psychological distress. This realization reaches past the immediate threat of death. Arjuna sees that a victory achieved by the slaughter of his own family is an empty prize, a gain that destroys the very people he is fighting to protect. Arjuna sinks into the seat of his chariot, declaring he will not fight. He tells his charioteer he would rather live the rest of his life as a beggar, owning nothing, than hold a throne stained with the blood of his kin. To a casual observer, this sounds like the height of moral courage, a warrior choosing peace and compassion over power. But the Gita offers a different diagnosis. Arjuna is caught in moha, deep attachment and delusion where fear is disguised as morality. He projects personal grief onto universal duty, building a moral wall to protect his heart from an agonizing choice. When we are bound to a specific outcome, our minds naturally generate elaborate justifications to avoid the path that causes us pain. We convince ourselves we are being noble when we are actually just afraid. This is why the first chapter of the Gita is titled Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the yoga of Arjuna's despair. In this tradition, yoga is a disciplined path to higher awareness. Defining a total mental breakdown as a form of yoga suggests that despair isn't just a failure, it's a tool. Arjuna's hesitation is proof of his depth. A mindless soldier would have started the slaughter without a second thought. It is only because Arjuna possesses high intelligence and empathy that he is able to feel the weight of the moment. By dropping his bow, he drops his ego. He is no longer the unbeatable warrior who has all the answers. He has become an empty cup, creating the intellectual space required for a deeper truth to enter. This perspective has attracted scientific thinkers like Albert Einstein, who saw the Gita not just as a religious text, but as a framework for managing the internal void that arises when our physical certainties fail us. For Mahatma Gandhi, this was an operational reality. He wrote that when he was surrounded by the dense darkness of despair and felt entirely helpless, he would turn to the Gita to find a single verse that could make him smile again in the midst of overwhelming sorrow. Confusion, in this light, is the threshold to wisdom. You cannot learn a new way of seeing if your mind is already full of absolute certainty. Instead of fleeing the field or lashing out in anger, Arjuna does something rare. He admits he is lost. He pauses in the heat of the moment and confesses that he no longer knows what his duty is. He turns to his charioteer, Krishna, shifting his identity from the one in command to the one who is seeking. He stops trying to solve the problem with his own limited logic. This ancient manuscript maps directly onto our modern struggles. We face these moments when careers collapse, relationships break, or we find ourselves caught in dilemmas where every choice feels like a loss. Our instinct is usually to escape the anxiety by making a rash emotional decision or by retreating into a state of paralysis. But the Gita invites us to stay in the tension, to stop acting on raw emotion and admit when our current understanding of the world is no longer enough. The lesson of the first chapter is that sitting in the painful pause of confusion is not a sign of weakness. It is where your real education begins, because only an empty mind is ready to receive a higher perspective.